In today's video, I'm taking you along on our annual summer holiday, and this year we went in a big family group to Tenby, which is in Wales, and it was just the best time. Honestly, I'm so sad to be back, but the beauty of being a YouTuber is I now have this vlog to look back on and remember it by, and you get to come and experience a bit of the trip too. Day one was honestly mostly travelling. Tenby is about 4 hours away from where we live, but with all of the stops it ended up taking us 8 hours, much to Charlie's outrage because he suggested leaving at 8 in the morning, but I didn't want to because we were meant to get the keys for the house at 4 p.m, and I, ever the optimist, didn't want to be lingering around waiting for hours. So we left at 11 a.m. and got there at 7 p.m. And I will not be making suggestions about set-off times ever again, especially as I'm not the one driving. Anyway, as you can see, this is the house we stayed in. Here's my mum showing us around. It was honestly like a maze. It took some getting used to. And it actually used to be a hotel, but it's been separated into multiple different holiday homes now. And by the way, most of this vlog is me walking around holding the camera by hand. So if it's shaky or a bit fast, that's why. Just think of it more as like a home video than a professional vlog. Because that's what it is really. It was a family holiday first and foremost, and I just got the camera out occasionally. I wasn't thinking about making content, which is how it should be. So this was our bathroom and bedroom. We had loads of storage space, which is always good, because I think we packed pretty much half of our house. I like to be prepared. They had like a games room with a ping pong table and a chest full of board games, a little outside area. And by the way, this video isn't just going to be all voiceover like my usual stuff. I'm going to make this one more immersive so you can listen to the sounds of the ocean and stuff like that. I think I do that in most of my seasonal vlogs. These are rare, but I have a little seasonal playlist if you like this kind of thing. But I like to occasionally vlog some Halloween and Christmas stuff and our summer holidays. And one thing I didn't add in this one though, that I usually do, is the panic house clean beforehand. Because I don't like to leave for a holiday without cleaning and tidying the house from top to bottom. But this year I have a new baby and I couldn't be bothered. So this is the attic room. This is where my auntie, cousin and her 2 little boys stayed. It's even got its own kind of living room area with a TV. But yeah, they didn't join us until a few days after this because of work commitments. There was obviously my mum and stepdad, and my stepsister and her 2 little boys were with us too, so it was a lot of fun. Here's my stepdad checking all the windows to make sure everybody's safe. And then after everybody got settled in and acclimatised, we headed out to have our first look at the beach. Bear in mind it was about 8 p.m. at this point, but it was still so light and really warm. This beach was about a 10-minute walk away from us, but you have to go up this massive, steep ramp. So it was definitely a workout for everybody. Especially because we had the pushchair and paddle boards and this storage buggy thing to carry our towels and picnic stuff. And yeah, that's something I love about beach holidays though. They make you feel so healthy, just mentally and physically. The beach, the water, the exercise, it's just brilliant for your health. Day 2, we were up bright and early and straight back to the beach. Even Velma had a little swimming costume on, bless her, and she absolutely loved sitting in the shallow bits with me and feeling the sand on her toes. And we absolutely lucked out with the weather this week. It was 28 to 32 Celsius the whole time, and the water was so warm. Here the boys were ready and eager to go rock pooling. This beach wasn't the best for it though, but we did find a good beach later on.
Look, can I get where's he gone? There he is. Ram?
Yeah. Oh, tiny.
Yeah.
There's some fish, I don't know how to catch them.
After we had a look around the rock pools, we had a go at some paddle boarding, and some of us were better than others. I'll give this to my mum, she's nothing if not determined, and by the end of the holiday she was standing up like a pro. After we were done at the beach, we had a walk down to the harbour to book a boat trip to see some wildlife. They have all different kind of boat trips depending on the animals you want to see, whether you've got small kids, how long you want to be on the water. Some of the trips go further out to try and find dolphins. Others let you explore mini islands. I think there's like a chocolate factory on one of the islands, which is very random. And then there are some that go closer to the cliffs to see seals and puffins. After that, we went to this bit of beach nearby to see if we might have better luck with the rock pools. We weren't intending to actually rock pool this day because it was getting really late, but we just wanted to have a look around and see if it was worth it. And then after that, we headed home to watch England play Norway in the World Cup. And I feel like we've collectively all fallen in love with Erling Haaland. Obviously, I was glad England won, but I wouldn't have been upset if Norway did. One of the downsides to it being held in the US, though, is the matches are on so late. The kids were all asleep by half time. Day 3 was pretty similar to day 2. We set up on the beach and just chilled at our little camping in the water for the entire morning. We ordered hot dogs and burgers and chips, which I didn't end up recording, but yes, a seagull did steal some of it. Would it be a beach holiday in the UK without your food being stolen by a seagull? Velma didn't go in the water this day just because I wanted to protect her from the sun. You don't realise in the moment how much the sun reflecting on the water can burn you. But she did sit in the pushchair and watch the tide come in, which was lovely. If you look closely, you can actually see schools of fish swimming in the shallow bits. This whole holiday must have felt like magic to her. A whole new world of different sights and smells and sounds. She had some lovely long naps on the beach while the other kids played and the waves crashed, and I just think, oh, to be 5 months again without a care in the world. To be fair, the holiday felt like magic to all of us. Sometimes it's hard to believe these places exist in the UK, especially with the weather we got as well. Later on that evening, we went back to the rocky beach to play a bit of football and try our hand at rock pooling. Unfortunately, again though, we had no luck, but I've been to Tenby before when the boys were younger and I distinctly remember finding 2 absolutely huge crabs in a rock pool. So when we got back to the house, we researched the best rock pooling spots for later on in the week. We still had a great time though, having a look at what we could find and exploring the big caves and listening to the ocean. Rudy was desperate to get some dressed crab or lobster, so on the morning of day 4 we queued up at this little seafood shop to see if we could find some. And as luck would have it, we found both, and they were really cheap actually. So we headed back to sit and eat it on the beach. Honestly, we spent most of our time on the beach. Who wouldn't want to though? Well, I guess lots of people. Lots of people don't like sand, but it doesn't bother us. Rudy much preferred the lobster, and it came with this lovely seafood sauce. After that, we just chilled and the kids played football and built some sandcastles. When we got home, it was time to do the thing we should have done the night we arrived, but we were just too tired, which was unpack the suitcase. Because it was day 4 and we were up and out of the house early morning and back quite late in the evening each day, we were just too tired to do it. And things had already become really messy. There were clothes everywhere, and we didn't want to let it get any more out of hand because this was meant to be a relaxing holiday. So my mum watched the kids while we got it sorted. It honestly felt really silly seeing as we were already halfway through the holiday, but as I always say, the next best time to start is now. While Charlie put the clothes away, I got to work on neatening up the rest of the room. And this was just a pretty unwelcome reminder of how much we seem to struggle with this. We put things off when they feel inconvenient or if we're too tired, and while everyone else's rooms were tidy and beds made every morning, ours looked chaotic, and apparently we can't escape ourselves even on holiday. Rudy found this crab shell on the beach, and I didn't have the heart to tell him that somebody probably bought it to eat from the seafood shop and that it didn't just wash up on the shore. Would have been really cool if it had though, but yeah, he wanted to bring that home with us. But yeah, the second half of the holiday we did manage to keep the room a little neater. Not as neat as everyone else's, but it is what it is. But yeah, I just wanted to include this segment to give a little dose of reality and to remind anyone who's also the messy one in their family that you're not alone, and it doesn't make someone inherently any better than you just because they're able to organise themselves and their space better. We've all got different strengths and weaknesses, and that's what makes the world an interesting place. Anyway, that was the room done, and then it was time to relax for the rest of the evening. The next morning we all stayed in to have a big family breakfast together. My auntie is the queen of holiday fry-ups and we all just sat around and enjoyed each other's company. And weirdness.
We've grown out that quickly, isn't she?
Yeah, we've not really, I've only bought it for her to have a nap in. But...
Hi, Phoebe.
Ike.
Toast if anybody wants any more toast.
Ike's just wandered off. After breakfast, Velma had a nap and I sat on my own and coloured and watched YouTube to regulate a little bit. I love being with family, but sometimes I really need space to be by myself. This was the day we'd booked to go on the boat trip, so we had a wander around the town to look at the shops first, and we found this really cool sweet shop. I absolutely love seaside towns. I think each one is so unique and characterful, and Tenby is absolutely beautiful. I'd also recommend Cromer and Scarborough, and Whitby if you like gothic or Halloweeny kind of stuff. I've actually got vlogs on Whitby and Cromer on here as well in my seasonal playlist. Anyway, after we had a walk around in our individual groups, we all met up to wait for our turn on the boat. And I was told by my mum and stepdad that they'd booked a really placid walk-around boat suitable for babies. And while the one they did book, apparently by accident, still don't buy that, mum, but while the one they did book was safe for babies, it was smaller, faster and a lot choppier than I was expecting. And I'm someone who gets travel sick very easily. So you can imagine what happened as we got out to sea. Aside from being nauseous, I was also terrified that the boat was going to topple over, and I was counting adults per children to make sure that if it did happen, each child would have an adult to hold on to them. Of course, they wouldn't have let us on the boat in the first place if that was even a possibility, but my protective mum brain just takes over. It was not an enjoyable experience for me, but everyone else loved it, and we got to see seals and puffins. The guy doing the boat tour was also really enthusiastic and informative, so that's always great. And I definitely would recommend this if you don't get seasick. Yeah. The seals were actually coming really close to the boat, and I wish I could have gotten a better quality video, but I'm only using an iPhone.
I see it still. Oh my gosh, it's so close to us. Hey, seal.
These cliffs are actually a bird sanctuary where they all come to nest. And the boat guide was actually telling us that there used to be so many more mating pairs of puffins, but rats had started burrowing into the cliffs and eating their eggs. And you know what? They're actually so much smaller than I expected. I expected them to be these huge birds based on the photos I'd seen, but they are so tiny. To try and get rid of my nausea, we then went to get fish and chips. You've got to when you're at the seaside, haven't you? And while it did help a little bit, I felt nauseous for the rest of the day. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt like I was bobbing up and down still. And then we went to Lolly's dessert shop, which was amazing. The next morning was a slow one. The kids did some colouring while they ate breakfast. And then we decided to try out a new beach, which was a 10-minute drive away from where we were staying. This one was known for being great for rock pooling, and it definitely had a different vibe. It was quieter and more secluded, the sand wasn't as soft, it wasn't really one for paddleboarding or anything like that, and as the tide went out there were so many different rock pools to explore. It was so much fun. I'd say this was one of my favourite days of the holiday. We found so many different animals. Is that how you find them, by just doing that? Rudy and my nephew Elijah were definitely pros at finding crabs. I found this guy. I remember when we went last time, the crabs we found were the size of my hand and I was determined to find one that big, but it didn't happen this year. Velma was just loving watching everybody, and honestly, considering the long drive and the different environment, she was so brilliant. And I know lots of people panic about taking babies and young children on holiday, not just because of the flights or the long drives, but also because it takes them out of routine. But I just think we only have one life, and I want to experience all there is to experience with them. I don't want to wait for the perfect age. And especially with the age gaps between my kids, if we waited for Velma to get a bit older, my older boys would have missed out on a family holiday aged 4 and 10. Do you know what I mean? And that is not happening. They're going to remember these holidays for the rest of their lives. Anyway, here we are putting some of the crabs back into the rock pools. We put them in the buckets to look at them, but we don't keep them very long before they go straight back into the water. Did you? In this one?
It made a hole in my neck.
Oh no.
Reading. Reading.
By early afternoon we were a bit hungry, so my little family decided to go up to this restaurant overlooking the beach. Honestly, it was very posh and I felt like a bit of an imposter, especially with us wandering up in our swimming stuff, but we asked for a table outside and it was so tasty. Me and Rudy had lobster and parmesan fries, Charlie had a steak and prawns, and Ike had macaroni. And if we ever visit Tenby again, I'll 100% be planning a date night there. You could smell the lavender plants on the sea air and it was just beautiful. One of the waitresses commented that she'd never seen a child that young eating lobster. Well, now you have. We don't get to go on holiday very often, and if he wants to try new foods, I'm going to let him. After dinner, we were full of energy and ready to find some more cool creatures. The tide had gone out even more, so there were bigger rock pools and even bigger animals, like this amazing hermit crab. It was so big. Well, big for a hermit crab, and it had such lovely colours.
Size of him, Remy.
And then my cousin found this absolutely enormous blue jellyfish washed up on the beach. I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Stephen, stop it!
That was my mum scared that my stepdad was going to get stung and Charlie laughing. The jellyfish wasn't alive anymore, by the way. But they can still sting you. After we got home and dressed, we then headed out to the arcades. Again, a must when you go on a seaside holiday. And then because England won against Norway in the World Cup, we had the opportunity of watching another match together, which was so lovely. Would have been more lovely if we actually won again, but there's always next time. Only 4 years. The last day came around way too quick, and of course we decided to spend it, you guessed it, at the beach. Some really cool stuff had been washed up on the shore this day, like this spider crab shell. We actually did find a whole spider crab as well. And loads of urchins that we kept trying to save. There must have been a change in the wind or something. My mum found a cuttlefish bone, which I didn't manage to get a photo of because my phone was all the way back at the camp at that point. We had burger and chips on the beach again, and after that we decided to go snorkeling.
Life of a crab. You start off by swimming.
When we all got out of the water, Charlie built this gigantic sandcastle fort thing with the kids. And at this point, I feel like I'm reading one of those what I did at the weekend diaries you have to hand in at school, where it goes, first I did this, and then I did this. Anyway, later that evening, my family watched the kids while me and Charlie nipped out for an hour to have a meal together. Charlie chose Italian because he knows I love Italian, and he had a seafood pasta dish. And I usually go for lasagna, but I thought, let's try something different this time, and I chose lamb. But I'm going to be honest, it wasn't what I was expecting based on how it was described on the menu, but it was still lovely to get out and spend some one-on-one time together. And then for the final evening, I really wanted to see what the village looked like all lit up at night. I think we set off slightly too early though, but the kids wanted to come along, and sunset was almost 10 p.m. So we just had a wander around looking into all of the shop windows and watching as all of the lights gradually turned on. Seaside towns are just as beautiful at night as they are in the day. And honestly, it took me a full week to get back into routine when we got home because I was just so sad to leave this place. Next holiday we've got to look forward to is our annual winter holiday at Centre Parks. So if you enjoyed watching this, keep your eyes peeled for that one. I'm so excited because last year I was pregnant with Velma and I couldn't go in the hot tub or the rapids, but I'll be taking full advantage of everything this year. This does remind me of being abroad.
Yeah, it does, yeah. It's supposed to go down. No, come. What?
It's hard going.
Wow.
Mum, look down. Mum, look.
Oh yeah. Anyway, that's another summer holiday over. I really hope you enjoyed watching and you got to experience a bit of Tenby. I just wish I could send the smells and textures through the screen too, so you could really feel like you were here. But that's just me being weird. And hopefully next year, depending on finances of course, we're going to go somewhere abroad like Menorca. But as you've just seen, UK holidays are still absolutely beautiful.